Traditionally, monarchs had the freedom to sell their territories as they pleased. But in 1867, when King William III of the Netherlands tried to sell the Grand Duchy of Luxembourg to France, the great powers of Europe intervened. The sale was blocked, and Luxembourg remained under Dutch rule until 1890. So why exactly were the Dutch forbidden from selling their own land? Let's dive into the story. In the 1860s, France under Emperor Napoleon III was in an expansionist mood. Napoleon wanted to grow his empire to counter the rising power of Prussia and cement France's role as a leading European power. But his options were limited. Spain was off-limits due to his alliance with the papacy, and Italy had already ceded lands to France. This left only the northern territories, including Luxembourg, as potential targets for expansion. Meanwhile, tensions were rising between Austria and Prussia over control of the German states. Prussia feared French intervention on Austria's side. In 1865, Napoleon approached Prussian Minister-President Otto von Bismarck with an offer. If Prussia ceded some land, France would stay neutral in the Austro-Prussian conflict. Bismarck refused to give up Prussian territory but suggested France could take parts of Belgium and Luxembourg instead. He even offered an alliance, promising Prussian support if Britain defended Belgium's neutrality. In 1866, Prussia defeated Austria in a decisive war, dissolving the German Confederation and forming the North German Confederation. Emboldened by this victory, Napoleon turned his attention to Luxembourg. He approached King William III of the Netherlands, who was in desperate need of funds, and offered to buy the Grand Duchy. William agreed. But when news of the sale broke, Prussian nationalists were furious. They pressured Bismarck to intervene, and he objected to the sale, threatening war. France, feeling betrayed, demanded the withdrawal of Prussian troops from Luxembourg and also threatened war. Britain, concerned about maintaining the balance of power in Europe, insisted on the neutrality of Belgium, Luxembourg, and Limburg, and, true to 19th century diplomacy, threatened war if their demands were ignored. With tensions escalating, Russia stepped in and called for an international conference to prevent a full-scale war. At the conference, several proposals were put forward. Austria suggested giving Luxembourg to Belgium and compensating France with other lands. Britain rejected this, fearing France would eventually annex all of Belgium. France wanted to keep Luxembourg and believed Prussia wouldn't go to war. Prussia refused to give up Luxembourg, but was willing to let France have southern Belgium if it could annex Limburg. The Dutch, meanwhile, just wanted to avoid war altogether. In the end, Russia proposed a compromise. 1. Luxembourg would remain under Dutch control. Second, Prussian troops would withdraw from Luxembourg's fortress, which would then be dismantled. Third, Luxembourg would remain part of the German customs union. 4. All the great powers agreed to recognize Luxembourg's permanent neutrality. The deal was accepted by all parties. Prussia agreed because France gained little, the neutrality guarantee was seen as unenforceable, and war at that moment would have been difficult. Napoleon accepted because Prussia lost a strategic fortress and a potential invasion route into France. Britain was satisfied because the balance of power in Europe was maintained. Fortunately, war was averted, at least for the next 3 years. Luxembourg remained neutral and under Dutch control until 1890, when the Dutch royal line died out, and the Grand Duchy passed to another dynasty. This episode highlights how the great powers of 19th century Europe navigated complex diplomatic tensions to maintain stability, at least for a while. Thanks for watching this episode of Present and Past. If you enjoyed this deep dive into history, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more stories from the past. See you next time.